added that too. Oh, it's too fucking loud. I noticed in the other videos it's not super obvious that there's an exhaust leak. It does actually get a bit quieter after it's warm, but it's leaking quite badly. It's only from cylinder 6. I'm gonna see why the fuel pump's so loud, because it's cable tied in there like they are originally, but I've just used normal cable ties. I don't know if they're any good for, I don't know if they're rated for fuel, so I'm gonna pull the access panel off and just have a look at the fuel pump and make sure the fuel hasn't like eaten through the cable ties I've got on it, and it might just be dangling around in there, or otherwise maybe it's sitting too high and that's why it would like run out of fuel really early. But I filled it up and it only took like 25 litres and I did 255 k's, so the fuel economy is actually like better with the tune and the turbo than it was from factory. Now what the hell am I doing? I've ordered the J pipe or the up pipe, whatever you want to call it, and I ordered that a few days ago, so it should be here next week. And I've also bought up the original exhaust manifold, so I'm going to drop that off to a guy up here that's going to machine it, and then hopefully, if I'm lucky, by the end of next week I should have the new manifold in, the original one with the new, yeah, all that business. Yeah, I'm gonna go around to the back and you can probably hear it right now. The fuel pump's loud as hell, but I did buy it second hand, so if it's on its way out, like, it's not the biggest deal. Unfortunately, if I get another one, I'll obviously just go get a new one, but they're worth 200 and something bucks, which is a nuisance, and I've got a good few $100s worth at the exhaust shop, most likely, because I might need a new dump pipe. Well, when the new manifold setup is on, the dump pipe that's on it's going to at least need to be modified a bit to line up again. So I hope the fuel pump can last for a couple of weeks, and I'll get a new fuel pump in there. But I'll go around the back and yeah, you can hear how loud the fuel pump is from the outside. High quality fuel line. Fuck. They told me it was fuel line. Fucking hell. Rightio, so I just replaced that fuck bit of hose with this, which definitely is fuel hose, and now you can only just hear the pump. So there you go. Fuel pump's back out. So I thought I fixed my issue with the fuel pump, and then it got loud again. And this is the fuel line I used. It's Mackay Automotive. It was the EFI. It was a 6mm one. It's a little bit of a tight fit. Anyway, don't use that for this purpose. I did a little bit more research online, and it turns out you can't just use regular EFI hose. You need to use EFI hose that is submersible. So the EFI line needs to be fully submersible. This obviously is fine to have fuel run through it, but the outside layer of it isn't resistant against fuel. So this is fine for fuel pressure regulators and all that sort of thing, but for in tank, where it's actually the whole thing is submersed in fuel, it's no good. So that's just another thing you learn as you go. So I've already ordered some new fuel line that is fully submersible. It should show up early next week. So all I can do for now is replace that section with some new stuff and replace it with the submersible fuel line as soon as it comes in. There you go. So there's the new bit on. When I took this one off, you can actually kind of see here, it had swelled up. So all this middle section was actually wider. Whereas here it's a little bit narrower because it's not stretched over or anything. But it had actually stretched out. If I can get here somewhere. I'm getting very sick of replacing this same bit of hose. But there you go. Gates submersible fuel line. I really should have taken a measurement before I bought this, because this is 6.3 mil, which I think is a little bit small, really, compared to the diameter of the fuel line there. It's a bit of a squeeze. Like you can see how much it's focus. You can see how much it's had to stretch just to fit over the lines on either side. So I think probably 8 mil would have been the go. But I guess I'll replace it one more time down the track. Just got home from work and I have a package. Let's unwrap it. So you make this perfectly flat. Get a machine somewhere. Then that'll bolt on there. So it's going to sit kind of like that, but up a little bit. Looks like it's going to sit quite high actually. But we'll see once it's actually on there. So there's the original exhaust manifold after it's been machined. I'm also going to go to studs as well for the whole exhaust system, including the join here. So it's not the nicest looking thing, but if it performs well, it'll be right. An exhaust shop also supplied me with this as well. M18 O2 bung. Obviously I need a gasket in there, just any standard, 2.5 inch exhaust flange fits straight on there. That might explain the exhaust leak. So there's the Spoolinboost up pipe or J pipe connected there with original manifold with the flange machined. I've heat wrapped this and wastegates on there. One issue, I didn't realise that this flange isn't threaded. My other manifold, the T3 flange on it is actually threaded. So I went to bolt the turbo on and no good, because the bolts are just long enough to thread in. They're not long enough to go right through and get a nut on the back. Right, I've clocked the centre housing because the flange is on top now instead of the side. I had to rotate the compressor so I can. I had to clock the exhaust turbine so I could get my oil feed straight up top, because normally the turbo did sit this way, but now it's going to sit upright. So obviously I need to get this pointing up. Now that's loose on there, I can get that sorted out, basically like that. Oil return's still gonna line up, which is good. There's the oil feed line, which will go straight back on. Other than that, I just need to worry about intercooler piping lining up. Which it actually pretty much will. Once that sits on there properly. There's some new bolts on the turbo there. This one's had to go upside down to clear this bolt. Other than that, oil return is back on. Oil feed. The cooler piping still fits. Because the wastegate sits so much lower with this manifold, I got some new vacuum line to put the wastegate line on, and I've relocated the boost controller to there. It's not mounted, but it's not going anywhere. Again, I will change that down the track. I've finally been to the exhaust shop and got my dump pipe sorted out. It's hard to see, but there's some new bends in it, so I can clear the up pipe there. I've also got my O2 sensor plugged back into the original manifold, and got that one blocked off, but I might swap them over, put the O2 sensor back in the dump pipe and put that little bung back in the manifold. But yeah, it's not pretty looking, but I'm gonna heat wrap this as well, and put the turbo beanie back on, and hopefully she'll look alright. Okay, it's rough, and it doesn't go all the way because I didn't want to take the dump pipe right off. Can you see all the sparkles? That's all the glass fibers from the heat wrap. It's fucking awful stuff to work with. My whole arms are just like covered in it. It like splinters and gets in your skin. And then it's really prickly and itchy and shit. Oh, that is so much better. It sounds like a real car again.